Hey, everybody, welcome back to Paramystic Podcast. I'm your host, Kristina Bloom. Thank you for joining me today. I would like to introduce you to my friend, Kim Del Valle. I said that wrong.
That's okay.
Del
Del
Valle,
Valle.
Del Valle Walker. I'm sorry. I
That's
have
okay.
no history in Spanish at all. So I am constantly mispronouncing things, and I feel bad about it. It just, whatever.
Don't feel bad about it.
So, Kim and I actually have a lot in common. We met at a psychic fair years ago. Both of us were there doing psychic readings, and it was a really fun day. I remember it being a fun day. I remember we went out to dinner afterwards, and the silliness that pursued was absolutely insane.
It was wonderful.
It was wonderful. I'm pretty sure we were not supposed to ever go back to that supper club again, but that's okay. Because everybody there, I think, we were all sober
Oh
and
yeah.
just wild.
Yes.
It
And
was
it was really
fun.
fun.
It was really fun. It was really fun. So Kim is a psychic medium. She also reads tarot. She's had Peruvian shaman training. She's just amazing. That's all there is to it.
Thank
She's
you.
just amazing. So there's she's a lot of fun. I know,
Thanks.
and you have a group. I know it's a group on Facebook, but I think it's also a group not on Facebook, Sisterhood of Northwestern Wisconsin. Is that right?
Yeah, I did put Northwest Wisconsin because a lot of the things I do at my house, and I lived in Florida for 21 years. So,
Okay.
like, a lot of people would be like, "Are you doing that online?" I was like,
Yeah.
"No, I'm doing it at my house."
Yeah.
So, yeah, so there's that. So that's kind of why I put it because people from Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Northwest Wisconsin region will come for things.
Hmm.
But, you know,
That's nice,
uh,
though.
would be nice if some of my friends would just come up here from Florida and just, I think I have a cousin that might do that soon.
That would be nice. That'd be fun.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be fun. Where in Florida were you?
Sarasota, Gulf Coast,
Okay.
between Tampa and Fort Myers.
Nice. That's a beautiful area.
Yeah, it is, but it's also very crowded now, and I think
Hmm.
there's too many people. There's too many people there for me.
Yeah, I'm getting
Oldest
more and more
son,
like that.
and our two granddaughters still live there, so I go there a lot,
Hmm.
but I'm not, it's so hot. I mean, like, it was what, 63 degrees the other day, and I was in flip-flops and a tank top dress, and
We are soul
yeah,
sisters in many ways.
yes. So it's like I
Yeah.
cannot handle the Florida heat anymore and the humidity. I just get
Yeah.
crabby, and
Yeah,
I don't
me
like being
too.
crabby.
I get uncomfortable. I don't like being uncomfortable. I don't like,
I
maybe
don't
it's
like sweating.
I don't like
I don't,
sweating. Yeah.
ugh.
Especially when there's no good reason for it.
Right,
You know,
just being outside. You
just
walk
sitting
outside,
there.
your glasses fog up, you
Yeah.
just rip. You can't
Hmm.
dry off after a shower. It's just,
It's just
yeah,
not
I'm
fun.
not a fan.
Yeah, me neither. That's nice. That's good because it that has you in Wisconsin and where I have probably not even seen you in years. At least I feel you close by.
Right, there you go.
Because I think there's about a 3 to 4 hour drive between
Where are
us.
you at again?
I am in Grafton, Wisconsin, so I'm just north of Milwaukee, about 20
Okay,
minutes.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. And like I'm an hour and a half from Minneapolis.
right.
So it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Go
It's
over to the Mall of America and go to Sea Life, and I love that place.
I have not been to Sea Life. I'm gonna have to check that
Oh,
out.
they play this really chill meditation music while you're walking through like all this water and these different fish swimming. And here's a weird thing. I'm a Pisces.
Hmm.
My biggest fear is not wood ticks or spiders or snakes, but sharks. And I don't like to eat fish either. Like the only fish I'll like eat is like shrimp, which isn't
Okay.
really a fish. It's a crustacean, you know.
Right.
Um, but I love going to that sea life place because it's just maybe it's just because I'm surrounded by water And
Hmm.
I know the sharks can't get me. And the music is just chill. It's wonderful. I hope you go there sometime.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I'm
Yeah.
10 minutes off of Lake Michigan. So
Oh, that's
I,
nice too.
yeah, I spend a lot of time going to Lake Michigan. We've got Harrington Beach State Park is about 20 minutes from where I am. So I could just go there and sit on the beach or walk around the quarry and it's beautiful. Wisconsin and Minnesota both have a lot of beauty and I think we're a lot of people don't know that, you
Yeah,
know?
well, somebody posted something recently about like if you look at all the fires and the droughts and everything on the West Coast, and you look at all the hurricanes and things on the East Coast, and they had done a map based on where's the safest place to live, and it was above the 44th parallel,
Yeah,
which is like our area.
right.
And it's kind of like I kind of felt like, shh, don't tell anybody. I don't want it overpopulated here, you know? I like
Right.
my 8.5 acres and not being able to see my neighbors most of the time, unless this time of year I can like see through the woods and I can see, the color of their house. I
Hmm.
like it that way,
Yeah. I
you
do
know.
not have that situation.
I love that. It's
That's
like, and that's
awesome.
part of, they probably wonder like when we do drum circles out here and stuff like that, or full moon ceremonies and
Hmm.
everybody's drumming and, whooping it up and stuff. My neighbors are probably like, what the hell is going on over there?
Or they're used to you. I
Or
don't
they're
know.
used to us too, yeah. They probably got, oh, Kim's doing that crazy shit with her friends again.
Yep,
Out there, they're probably out there
exactly.
dancing naked in the moonlight. Yeah,
Have at it. Seriously,
exactly.
have fun. See
So
now,
do you do any ceremonies or anything on the beach there?
I did one drum ceremony there, like one drum circle. Um, it's a public beach, so it's, you have to jump through
Yeah.
some hoops to if you want to have a fire, you have to go through the fire department, get a permit,
Oh,
they have to approve you for whatever it is you're doing. And then it's like, you know, I'm sorry, but I say, well, we're doing a Native American drum circle, and they look at you like you're speaking a language they've never heard before. So
yeah.
it's, you know, it's kind of a hassle to do that. And then the other place, Harrington Beach, is a state park. So there's all kinds of rules about what you can and can't do in a state park.
Oh,
So,
sure.
if I had land that I had access to on the beach that was private, I would
Oh,
probably do all kinds of stuff, but I don't.
oh,
So we jump through the hoops and play by the rules, and sometimes I just don't feel like doing that.
I don't blame you. And at this point, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 61 now. And it's kind of like I'm to the point where I don't give a shit about a lot of things. It's
Yeah.
like there was an interesting thing about having this earth-based childcare learning center where you teach kids to forage and to build things and to
Hmm.
start fires and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, man, if I was younger, I would do something like that.
Hmm.
But I don't, it's not that I don't have, no, I really don't have the energy. It's just I don't want to anymore.
Yeah.
I've reached that point where it's like, if it's going to take way too much effort and time, it's like, ugh, no,
Yeah. And then
I don't want
convincing
to.
other people they want to do it too. Um,
Yeah. It's like I like to keep it simple now. Like even when I do stuff, like I'll make an ad, I give it enough time, and it's like I don't hound people like, are you coming to this? Or it's
mhm.
kind of like, here it is. I'll put it out there enough times till whatever, and whoever shows up, shows up. And if they
Right.
don't, they don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just younger than you at 57, so and
Okay.
I'm right there with you. It's like, it's a lot. I do retreats, but I enjoy doing retreats. And,
Right.
they're all self-contained. They're 3 to 4 days, and the food is there, the lodging is there. You don't have to go anywhere for anything else. We generally have them in places where there's some walking trails, hopefully some water. But that feels different to me than just, oh, we're going to have this ceremony on the beach. I hope somebody shows up. You know? So I don't know.
It's nice because I can do that kind of stuff at my house.
Yeah,
So it's like, even if a few people show up, I'm going to have a ceremony. Even if it's just me, I'm
right,
going to do a ceremony anyway.
right. I do my own ceremonies. Like recently, I don't know where it was. I do so many different podcasts and interviews, but um, I was meditating and it popped into my head. I could really use a sweat lodge, you know,
Oh,
and I just went when they have lodges. I'm typically not available. They do them on weekends. I'm typically working weekends. So I'm just like, huh, well, that's, a little frustrating. And my spirit guide, my grandfather's spirit guide, who is native, pops in and he goes, "You have everything you need." Hmm,
hmm.
I guess I do. I have my spirit bundle. So I sat down behind this screen in my office and um, made a little smudge pot with all of my sweat lodge herbs and stuff and had my own private little ceremony. And it's really interesting. I don't know if you've ever done anything like that, but I was in the room I'm in now. I didn't touch the thermostat, but boy, did it get warm in this room.
Yeah.
It got really warm in this room.
It's
Yeah,
crazy because I can do all 4 rounds of a sweat lodge and be okay.
yeah,
But I hate sweating. That's the only time I'll be okay sweating is in lodge.
right. But that's a spirit. It's a
Yeah,
spirit thing, that's a
right.
spiritual ceremony. And so, yeah, that's different. I, I don't typically like to even go outside during the summer.
I know. We don't have air conditioning, so we've got one of them roll around ones that you move from room to
Oh,
room.
yeah, we have weird air conditioning, but I'm not going to get into that. Uh,
Well, that's good though that you had your own
yeah,
ceremony.
yeah.
I haven't done like a sweat lodge ceremony. I did have some Ojib folks that were going to come from Canada and build me a lodge.
Mm-hmm,
Um, but I don't know. I would have to have it open to everyone,
mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't want a bunch of randos just coming on my property.
Right.
So, so
I
there's
get
that.
that. I get that.
So that's why I chose not to do that. So I'd prefer to just go to a lodge that somebody's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the lodge that I used to go to, unfortunately, Tony Awanape, I'd go up at Maple Plains Reservation. He passed away, crossed over. So, yeah.
So,
And you kind
yeah.
of get used to the way somebody does
Mm-hmm.
ceremony. And I've gone to a different one and I just wasn't comfortable at it.
Yeah.
So,
Um, yeah, and I know what you mean. And I'm very careful about whose lodge I go into.
yep,
I make sure that I know, and this is probably good information for everybody, but I make sure that I know who's running the lodge.
yep,
I make sure that I check their energy really, really well. I ask my
yep,
spirit guides, is this a safe person? Are there going to be other safe people in the lodge? Because, like you said, you open the doors, anybody can come in, and not everyone has great intentions, which I hate to say, but, that's the way it is. People are people,
right.
you know. It is interesting. I'm not sure what your upbringing was. Mine was Lutheran. Um,
Mine was Catholic. We're close, except we have a supposed Virgin Mary.
oh, well, same with Lutherans. Same,
Oh, they
that's,
have a Virgin Mary?
oh, yes.
I thought that was the difference.
Mm-mm.
Was that Lutherans were they didn't believe she was a virgin.
That's not Lutherans. At least not the church I was raised in.
Sure you're not Catholic?
Well, this is the fun thing. Like, my dad's family historically was Jewish, but had changed over to Lutheran, and my mom's family was Catholic. So they decided, we're going to do Lutheran, and
We'll meet in the middle,
we'll
kind of,
meet in
sort
the
of.
middle. It's kind of, sort of. I'm not sure what kind of compromise that was, but yeah, I think the difference is that Lutherans, I guess, don't pray to saints. They don't really put much stock in
Oh,
sainthood.
okay.
I think
Okay.
that might be the difference. And Catholics are a lot more active in church. I remember going to church with my grandparents when I was a kid, and it's sit, stand, kneel, kneel, stand, sit, stand.
Yeah, they don't want you to fall asleep,
No,
so they
no, the
keep you
Lutherans just
physically
sit there and
busy.
doze off. It's um, uh, yeah, I mean, growing up doing both of those things, I really didn't see much of a difference, to be honest with you.
Right?
It was the way the ceremony was done. The Lutherans didn't have the incense.
You didn't. Okay.
No,
You
at
didn't
least
have
not the one
priests
I went
smudging the
to.
congregation.
No, nope, there was no smudging involved. Um, so yeah, I mean, there was basically the difference, as far as I could tell, are ceremonial, and I'm sure that somebody is going to put in the comments somewhere that I have it wrong, and I don't care because I don't follow either religion at this point.
Right. Well,
So,
I'm kind of an amalgamation of my Catholic upbringing. I read this book and what's it called? Something about the Christian witch. So you'd have
oh
to Google
yeah,
it.
yeah, I've heard of it.
And I read that book and I thought, oh my God, I could have written this book.
Mm-hmm.
What it did for me was because I tried different religions because I got kicked out of CCD, because I wanted to know if Adam and Eve were the only people and they were sending their sons out to go find wives, how are they going to find wives if they were the only people?
Yeah, they
I
don't
mean,
like it when you ask logical questions. I'm just
no, they
saying
didn't.
because I ran into the same thing with my confirmation classes. It's like, well, this is just what it says, but it doesn't
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah,
You know.
that's why I
So,
wasn't confirmed because I got
hmm
kicked out because of that. I had too many questions. I wanted to know where Jesus was from the time he was 12 till when he came back and flipped the tables and, right before his
hmm
crucifixion. Like, where was he learning all this stuff?
right. I wanted to
And
know that too.
the answer of, well, if God wanted us to know, he would have put it in the Bible. That wasn't a good enough answer for me.
God
And
didn't
then
write the Bible. Just saying.
exactly. Well, then I kind of went on this whole religious kind of thing and explored different religions and things. And, I worked at Ellie Phillips Treatment Center for a while, and we went on mission because it was attached to the HSS Hospital Sisters of St. Joseph's.
Hmm
So I went on mission, and the priest came around. He says, "So what religion are you?" He goes, "Wait a minute, let me guess. You're spiritual." I said, "You're correct."
hmm
And he goes, "Well, what does that mean to you?" I said, "Well, I get up in the morning." Well, at that time, I used to be more precise about this, but
hmm
I've gotten more lackadaisical. But I put my tobacco out in the morning, facing east, say my morning prayers, that kind of thing. I smudge. I talk to ancestors. I'll pray to a saint. I mix all this stuff together. And I believe more like Jesus. And I believe Jesus was married to Mary Magdalene and that they had children. And, so I have these weird beliefs. He goes, "So that's your religion?" I go, "What's my religion?" And he said, "Well, your religion is the things that you do, your prayer, putting out the tobacco, your meditation that you do in the morning, those types of things, that's your religion." And I'm still confused by what he meant by that. And but then he said, "But once a Catholic, always a Catholic," he told me. So I just was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But that book about being a Christian witch through the exploration of things, and like a lot of people that I surround myself with are pagan or Wiccan
hmm
and talk about different deities and they pray to this and they do this and that. And with that book, oh, it's called The Path of the Christian Witch.
Okay.
It talked about like how we would light candles for people that had crossed over, 7-day candles. It talked about basically the priest coming through and smudging everybody. It
hmm
talked about the ritual that seems was a lot of pagan ritual that was adopted, particularly by the Catholic Church
Right.
and the Christians. And what it made me realize was that I was like living the life of a witch, not realizing I was living the life of a witch
Okay.
and had because I had a problem when people would call themselves witches.
Okay.
I would think, I'm not a witch. And when I look at kind of what the modern day definition of a witch is, it's like, yeah, I'm a fucking witch. You know, you know, I do my smudging, I do my singing bowl, I believe in very progressive ideas. I believe in women's right to choose.
hmm
I believe that if you're transgendered, LGBTQ on that spectrum, who gives a shit? Go ahead, be you. I
Yeah.
believe in religious freedom. I know I probably shouldn't have brought this stuff up
You
on
know
your
what?
show,
It's fine
but
because you're describing me right now, and I'm like, oh, people have been telling me I'm a witch for years. I'm like, no, being a witch is a religion. I don't have a religion.
right, right.
You
And
know?
and I had read this. I was actually at Target in the checkout line, and there was a magazine called Witches, and I thought, what? And they had wrote about how the witches are the herbalists, the foragers, the old midwives, we're those women that wear red lipstick because we're being resistant, because that was such a taboo thing to wear red lipstick. So it was like a woman empowerment thing to wear red lipstick. We're the women that stand up for those that, are less fortunate. We believe in being the mothers, taking care of the earth and the sacredness of the earth and the water and protecting those things. And when they put the definition of witch in that context, I thought, yeah, I'm a freaking witch.
That makes
And
sense. That
so
makes
that's kind
sense.
of,
Yeah.
yeah. And then, speaking of that, I just picked up a new magazine and I found out this is a thing that comes out quarterly. I haven't finished reading this one yet.
Oh, the truth behind legends and lore.
Yes.
Interesting.
But this was the second issue that I got, and I was so excited to find it. And it's kind of the same thing. It was actually talking about a lot of the women that were burned at the stake for healing somebody, or, they would be raped by some uh, pilgrim Christian guy that claimed he was all pious and stuff, and then get pregnant, and then they'd say she was impregnated by Satan and, drown
Well,
her.
wasn't she?
Yeah, just crazy,
I mean,
crazy. Yeah, pretty
yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree
But
with you though. It's like everything that I mean, you're everything that you're saying, I believe too, you know.
right.
I went into oh my God, so many years ago. I don't even remember when. It was a long, long time ago. I went on a vision quest.
Oh, nice.
And
Love those.
yeah, yeah. And I had been given a prayer pipe. And so I went on a vision quest to pray for the pipe. And within 10 minutes, I was told very clearly by five elder spirits, native spirits, that literally walked up out of the fire and said, you are not to follow a singular path. Your path is to serve everyone. A singular path will prevent you from doing that. You
That
are
makes
not to work a
sense.
singular path. And I was like, all right, got it. Now what am I going to do for the next 4 days? I guess I'll sit and meditate. And within 20 minutes, I had the worst migraine of my life.
Oh no.
They're like, you're done here. You need to leave.
Go do
Go,
it.
do what you
Give it
do,
away.
give it away. But you do not belong sitting here doing this. And I had actually done another vision quest years before that, a few years before that. But they were just like, no, set it down, leave it here, and go. I'm like, okay, are you going to tell the guy sitting outside the flap of the sweat lodge here that that's what I'm supposed to do? Because I don't think he's going to let me go. And there was an argument about it. I'm like, okay, this is not supposed to be people in charge of people,
Right.
So
And
yeah.
that's part of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of why I have a problem with I have a like when I teach classes,
Mm-hmm.
like even tarot card classes, or even like do you spell miigwech, which is thank you in Ojib,
Right.
with a T or no T? That's like, who cares?
Yeah.
It means thank you. So
It
just be
means thank you.
grateful and say
Yeah.
thank you. I mean, there's just a lot of things like, this card means this. Or it's like people buy dream interpretation books, or they're always going to their books trying to read tarot cards. It's
Hmm.
like when I teach people things, I give them an overall view of everything and tell them if it feels right for you or if this doesn't resonate with you, then do it different. There's no, you don't have to stand, sit, and kneel
Right.
kind
Right.
of thing. Or there's not, I guess I don't like the rigidity, and I don't like people taking their rigidity and imposing it upon other people.
Yeah.
That drives me crazy too, which also would make me a witch.
Hmm. Yeah. Same. Same. Yeah. It's really interesting how spirituality is such an individual thing. It's such an individual thing. And yet we're constantly, as a whole, reaching out to somebody else to tell us what to do or how to do it. Um,
The problem, I think, with a lot of people is they just
yeah.
don't trust what they're getting.
Yeah.
I mean, can you remember when you first started doing this kind of work? I mean, like,
Yeah,
I
I
had somebody
guess.
come from a tarot card reading once, and I said, I'm supposed to do an energy healing on you. And I'm being told, um, I call it my vagina stone. I don't know what it's really called, but I made a Mary Magdalene little rosary for myself,
Okay.
but it looks like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're like, take your vagina stone and put it in her belly button. She was trying to get pregnant. And I mean, they just tell me weird, different things. And sure enough, she got pregnant then. But another time I was told, at first when they would tell me to do things, I'd be like, I'm not going to do that. That's like crazy even for me. You know, like
Yeah.
take your tuning fork and ding it over their forehead and hold it over their third eye. And I'm like, okay. But it was like once I started trusting,
Hmm.
um, and to let go of any fears of what somebody else was going to think, that's when everything really opened up.
Right.
And I think there's something to be said about the whole crone becoming a crone,
Hmm.
because you get to that age where you just don't give a shit. You know, it's like, this is what I'm being told to do. I'm going to do it because I'm being told to do it. And I'm not going to
Yeah.
worry about what anybody else thinks anymore
Right.
because it doesn't matter.
And is that a matter of age, or do you think that's a matter of the path that you've walked?
Probably both,
Okay.
but I think probably, well, let's bring in the topic of both being people in long-term recovery.
Right. Right.
Like for me, I've been February 5th, I was 38 years clean and sober.
Well, congratulations and
So
happy birthday.
thank you. So I worked the 12 steps.
Hmm.
I I would do them every year at the beginning of the year and start on step one. But then it got boring and stupid because, in my opinion, I didn't want to drink or drug anymore. So then I started working on my adult child issues and my trauma and my codependency and working 12-step programs as far as that goes.
Hmm.
And what that did was, that 12th step, and pretty much all of them says, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. It doesn't
Yes.
say about my drinking, my drugging, my
Right.
any addiction stuff. It says in all of my affairs. So it's like all of my affairs is all of my affairs.
Right.
So a lot of that is you know, continuing to take a personal inventory, and when I'm wrong, promptly admit it. So it's like recognizing and realizing that I feel like, other than maybe past life stuff, it's like I'm on a even karmic playing field, if you will, it,
Yes.
I, for lack of a better way. But that was because of working all those 12 steps and digging on the underlying stuff.
Hmm.
So it's like when I'm comfortable in my own skin and with age and experience. I think all of those things combined is what makes me not give a shit.
Yeah, I would
But
agree. I would
it's
agree
like living
completely.
more
Yeah.
authentically. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
this is who I am. I'm going to be authentic. And if you don't like that, then okay. But
Not my
then go
problem.
somewhere else because I'm
Yeah.
not going to change or do something
Yeah.
different because it makes you feel uncomfortable.
Right. And that is the point I have gotten to in my life as well. And
Right.
very much the same way. And I got to the point too where it's like, okay, well, I don't need to keep rehashing the same old things. That's not growth. Right.
Correct.
So, I did the same thing as you. And I actually got to the point where it's like the 12 steps were kind of like a springboard into my life. And it's not something that I now feel like I have to focus on every day, you know?
Right.
It's you become this other person. You become this, at least for me, a better person.
Yes,
And
definitely.
having become a better person and being more authentic and being completely authentic because I just don't have I don't have the energy not to be anymore. You know?
Right.
Like
That too.
I just don't have the energy to be fake. It's a
It
lot of work, you
it
know?
is, yeah.
I just don't have energy for that.
No,
I'm just going to completely be myself. And I think that's why you and I so immediately clicked is because that's where we both are.
we're both re yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And talking about energy and frequency, when you're on that same level of frequency, you're gonna attract.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna vibrate together.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Frequency goes where it goes. And it will take you to the people that you're vibrating with. And that was a hard lesson for me because I didn't like some of the people I was vibing with.
Oh.
And that's when I had to step back and look at it and go, well, shit. Gee, I wonder why the people that I'm uncomfortable with are, maybe that's because my vibration was changing. But when I looked around me and went, this isn't who I want to be, then what do I need to change? I need to raise my vibration. And that's where I started noticing, started reading things like Nikola Tesla.
Mm.
Everything is vibration. And I'm not a Pisces, I'm a Virgo. So, give it to me in bullet points. Give it to me without the fluff. Just give me the information. And he was really good at that, just
Oh,
giving
that's
the
good.
information. So for me, that's where it came down to was like, all right, I want to understand energy and frequency and how to change mine to be where I want to be. And so it's like, it doesn't matter. My whole point in saying that is it doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get there.
As long as you get there, right.
Yeah, exactly.
And I find like a lot of people are like, they beat themselves up because they feel like they have to be like, some Buddhist monk that sits on a mountaintop meditating, and
Oh
that's
my
not it
gosh.
at all.
No,
No.
no, that can actually lead to hiding from life, not living a better one.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree. And the
Yeah.
other thing about that is then you get the other people too that don't want to have to do any of the work.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, I just want to be a spiritual person. Can I go to this thing and just, no, you
Yeah.
have to apply it to your life. And like when you said you
Mm-hmm.
become it.
You become it. Yeah, you
You
don't
become
you
it.
don't
It
wear it
becomes
like a cloak. You actually take
correct.
the cloak off, get naked with yourself on every level,
Yep,
and become it by digging through all the crap you don't want to look at.
exactly.
Like when people say do your shadow work, that's it,
Yep.
my friends. That's it.
Yeah,
That's the
that's so
shadow
funny.
work.
When I found out
Yeah.
about shadow work, I was like, oh my God, that's a four-step inventory.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much. Yeah, to getting really honest with yourself
Yeah.
and seeing the things you don't want to see, but also the other part of that inventory is honoring the things that you do want to see.
Yes, I had to do that in the codependency piece because
Hmm.
when I did the fourth step in one particular program, it really brought me down and it took me
Hmm.
a while to get back up. But when I did it under, I actually did it under Al-Anon too.
Mm-hmm.
There's an Al-Anon for Friends and Family, How It Works book.
Right.
And then the codependency book, what it kind of did was instead of beating me up, like they called codependency a disease of the soul. And I loved that definition.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, yes, I need to clear and cleanse my soul. And those things really helped me. And to point out the things that, like, figuring out what our characteristics are that we have within us that nobody can take away from us.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, I love
I'm
that.
creative and intelligent and funny and artistic and kind and generous. And those are all things that aren't based on something that I have to do or not do to
Right.
be.
Right.
So it's like a lot of people are still being human doings where their sense of self is based on what they do or don't do. I
Mm-hmm.
think men really have, the majority of men, I think, really have a problem with that, with their identity of being wrapped up in what they do or don't do.
Right.
And when you figure out what intrinsic characteristics you have within you, nobody could take that away.
Right.
Even when I had Lyme's disease and was knocked on my ass, I was still artistic and creative and kind and generous and thoughtful and nice and all of those things, regardless of what
Exactly.
I could physically do or not do. So I think that I'm really grateful that I've had the journey that I've had, although, in those younger years, it was pretty tumultuous, but everything brought me to where I am.
Right. Right. For me, again, coming at it, with the teachings of Tesla and Nikola Tesla, not the cars that are catching fire,
Oh,
but um, coming at it from that standpoint and understanding that energy is energy and everything is made of it. When I finally figured out that all I had to do to stop being codependent was to quit focusing on the other person and pull my energy away. And I could
oh, gotcha.
literally visualize pulling my energy away and seeing that separation. And as long as I can maintain that, codependency's gone.
Nice. That was quick and easy. I did a lot of work on my
I did a lot of
codependency.
work for years before I came to that realization. And I was like, huh, well, look at that. Hmm. I should have picked up this book a long time ago. you know?
Yeah, you'll have
But
to put
yeah,
the name of the book in the
I'm gonna have to find it. I think it
comments.
might even be in the garage in a box because we have more books than shelves. But
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm not even sure where it is, but I will look it up or maybe I can find it online somewhere. But um, really, when I came to that realization that there are so many different ways to do this, there's no one right or wrong way, and different
Amen to
brains
that.
work differently, right?
Yep.
So if you have a brain that works more on what you consider to be scientific or logic, maybe it makes more sense to be able to identify your own energy components and just pull them away.
Pull them away.
Pull them away. You go over there with your energy. I'm going to stay over here with my energy. The thing with that, though, is it comes back to doing the work because you
Yes.
have to be able to get comfortable in your own energy. And that means you take off the cloak and you sit with your nakedness on every level, and you better learn how to get comfortable with yourself, or life is going to keep being difficult. And
Yes.
boy, if I could get my kid to understand that,
Mm.
you know, but they do what they do, and they have their own path.
They have their own paths, exactly.
Hmm. And
Exactly.
it's,
My thing was always, what is my motive for doing something or not doing something?
yeah, that's so important.
Yeah. What is my motive? Because, you hear in the rooms of recovery, um, expectations are nothing more than setups for resentments.
Hmm.
So, expecting myself to, you know, say yes to people or to do good for people or, those kind of things. I had to ask myself, what is my motive for doing that? Is that something I really truly want to do? Or
Hmm.
am I doing it because I want them to think oh, she's nice. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I don't do shit for what anybody else thinks
Not anymore.
anymore.
Yeah.
No.
And
Mm-mm.
I think to get to this point that you and I feel like we're both at is that we do have to walk through that stuff and learn how to recognize it. Because if I didn't know how to recognize it, I would have no idea how to help somebody else recognize it,
Oh, that's so true.
you know?
I went to school to be a counselor, but it's like it's a big difference from learning something from a book and having that knowledge. Like I always wanted, if when I'd go see a therapist, and you're not supposed to out yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I want somebody that's been there, done that,
Mm-hmm.
not somebody that just read some shit out of a book,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So,
I'm right there with you.
yeah,
And I have no problem with going to therapy. I have no problem with anybody
me
going to
neither.
therapy. I think it's a beautiful thing and it's another form of healthcare.
I
And
highly recommend it.
I highly recommend it as well. I feel like it's just such an essential thing to be able to find a place where we can be happy in the world. And, it's especially when we're going through this huge shift right now, right? Where,
Yeah.
oh my God, the dark and the light could not be
Oh,
more obvious at this point.
no
And
kidding.
living in that and walking through that, we have to find a way to find some peace within ourselves and to be able to say, you know what, I understand all the crap that's going on in the world, but if I feel crappy, I'm adding to the crap.
Yep.
I don't
Yep.
want to be adding to that. I'm
Yep.
also not in denial. I'm informed. I understand what's happening, but I'm a light bringer. That's my job in this at this point in my life, right? I'm a light bringer. I am supposed to be bringing light. I am not supposed to be getting absorbed into the darkness. And as long as I understand that, that means that I can hold some joy. I can hold some beauty. I can hold the resonance of higher vibration that helps people to understand that you don't have to feel like crap just because you're surrounded by it,
Right.
you know? And I see
That's
you very much the same way, a light bringer. Yeah.
yeah. That's like I really pay attention to. Are you familiar with Louise Hay from Hay
Yeah.
House
Oh, very
Publishing?
much so. Yes.
Okay. Well, her whole book, and she actually did a DVD before she passed away called You Can Heal Your Life.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've
she
read it.
talks about oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
the energy and the thinking. It's like whenever I hear somebody say, "Oh, this is killing me," or "Oh, it's so horrible," or "Oh, I'm like, I just want to go, knock it off.
Can you hear yourself? Can you hear the words
I
you're
know.
saying? Yes.
Don't you, first there was the word. I mean, they even put that part in the Bible,
Right.
about how much energy our words have. And that's like even praying or spell casting or manifesting. It's all kind of like the same stuff.
It is.
It's the energy
Absolutely.
that you're putting into it
Yes.
that makes it so. So it's like people, well, my affirmation, like for manifestation stuff, so simple. I love my life.
Yeah.
I love my life because if I love my life, my family's healthy, things are good. We're not rich, but we got food, shelter, and clothing. Um, Life is pretty good. I
Mm-hmm.
love my life.
Right. Yeah,
And
because you
that
get more
just
of what you
sums it up.
appreciate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I even, speaking of that, about giving more and appreciating, it's like I still used to get, like when I got Lyme's disease and I had to quit my profession and I decided to do this full time, I thought, oh my God, how am I going to pay the bills? How is this all going to work out?
I think a
So
lot
some
of
of the
us have had
fear
that.
set in. Yes.
Yeah.
And lots of
Yeah.
times when the universe knocks us on our asses because we have to make a shift change,
Mm-hmm.
it's really scary and we don't want to. And it's really, I mean, I'm a person who's all about the affirmations and manifestations. And even I was like, holy shit, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. If
Exactly.
I don't re-sign this contract and do this, keep doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had to really work through that and develop that faith and trust. And it gets back to the faith and trust too about like when we're doing readings for someone. And I'm not going to say this crazy thing because it sounds crazy to me. It's like, no, you
Say the
just
crazy
say the
thing.
crazy thing.
Yes,
Yes.
because that is where people will go, uh-huh, that's it. Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
Faith and trust is
Yes.
so important and
Yes.
keeping your vibe high. And
Yeah.
you
And you
and
know what? Sometimes it's okay to have some grace when your vibe's not high.
yes,
You
yes,
know,
it is. It
there
is.
have
I
been
think that
times that I've had to just go, okay, guides, you got this. Please just take care of my life while I'm dealing with this other thing right now.
right. Well, not only
Yeah.
that, I've heard, I can't think of what they call it, but they call it like positive spirituality or something, where you have to be positive all the time. I
Oh,
have a problem
toxic,
with that.
toxic positivity.
Well, toxic positivity. That,
Positivity. Yeah.
yes, I have a real problem with that.
Yeah.
It's like if your pet dies, even knowing that you should be, you know, you're grateful they're free of their body or this or this or
Hmm.
that. It's like you're still going to be fucking sad. Be
Yeah.
fucking sad.
Just be
Allow
authentic.
yourself to
Just
be
be
sad.
real. Yeah.
Yes.
Just be
And
real.
so it's like, oh, well, what if this? And look at it from that. It's like, no, you know what I was saying to those people? Fuck you. I want to be sad right now or I want to be angry. Let me. I'm not going to stay stuck here forever. Just
Hmm.
allow me to feel my full range of emotions. And that's another thing, like being a person in long-term recovery. It's like
Yeah.
most of the time I drank and drugged to avoid and not feel my feelings or my
Well, of
emotions.
course. Yeah. That's why we
So
did it. Yeah.
right. So now it's like I'm clean and sober. I want to feel the full range of everything that's possible to feel. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. And when Logan passed,
Oh, I
when my son
forgot.
passed, yeah, a couple of years ago, um, people kept saying, he's in a better place. And I'm like, keep it
You.
up and you're going to be in a better place because I am really
Right?
tired of hearing that. You know,
Right.
let me grieve. Let me
Right.
grieve my way. And I had people who were actually angry with me because I wasn't angry with him because he committed
What?
suicide, right? So people are like, well,
Right.
aren't
But
you
why?
angry
What?
about that? No, I'm not angry about that. I'm sad. Let me be
Right.
sad. I had doctors trying to put me on antidepressant medication. No, I don't want to numb myself out to my son. You know,
Correct.
let me feel what I feel. I will walk through it. I will cry when I cry. I will laugh at some of the memories that we had. I want to feel this because
Yes.
I don't want to dishonor him by numbing it. And I don't want to dishonor me by numbing it, you know?
Right.
And like you said, whether it's a pet, a family member, a friend, there have been people leaving this planet left and right lately, and I get it. I mean, they're like, yeah, I signed up for this, but I changed my mind. Like, I didn't know it was going to be this bad. I,
Right.
I changed my mind. Um, but let us feel it. Let
Yes.
everyone feel it and let yourselves, oh my God, please let yourselves feel it.
Yes.
Because the more you try not to, the harder and deeper and more stuck it gets, and the harder it is to work through those feelings. And I
Definitely.
think that's where you and I are always having clients because people are starting to go, every time I relax or every time I do this or that, this feeling comes up. Well, let it,
Let it. Feel
let
it.
it. Yeah, let it
It's
come up.
okay.
Let it move
This is,
through.
I am a safe person. You are a safe person
Yes,
to have these feelings with.
exactly.
It's funny when I would do readings, back when I was a counselor and I would do like group family therapy.
Hmm.
Um, and I would always be excited when I'd come home. I was like, yes, I got him to cry today. And so when I started
Yeah.
doing readings, then, well, I kind of did readings on the side, but it was kind of hush hush, word of mouth people.
Hmm.
And David would be in the kitchen when somebody would come out of the office and he'd go, "Did she make you cry?" That was like the thing. It was like kind of
Yeah.
funny, but it's true. It's
Yeah.
kind of like you have feelings that you need to feel and release. Allow yourself to do that.
Hmm.
I just
Yeah.
had someone come to mind, and every time I hug her, I can feel the tenseness in her shoulders. Like she needs a massage so bad. But I think one of the things she really needs to do is just go out in the woods somewhere, scream, and sit down and allow herself to cry.
Yeah.
It's funny because we think of grieving, oh, only like somebody dying or passing, but grieving is, losing a relationship.
Oh,
Grieving
definitely.
can be losing a job or changing a job or,
Or losing friends
experiencing
or
a
yeah.
friends, all kinds of things. Same
Hmm.
thing with like codependency. Codependency, people always think it's about an intimate relationship.
Yeah.
It's about all relationships.
Yeah. You want to know why you keep getting in job situations that aren't good for you?
Right.
What's the common
Yes.
denominator? You
Yes.
know,
You.
that's where we have to go back to. I am my own common denominator. And
Correct.
if there are things in my life I don't like, why do I keep bringing them in? Why do I keep recreating that situation? And, trying to get people to understand that, like, no, this person did that. Well, as long as you're blaming other people, you're not going to be happy. So, how can I help you?
That drives me crazy. It's like,
I know.
I grew up in an alcoholic abusive household, and a
Yeah.
lot of people have a lot of trauma and even shit that other people might not think is traumatic for some people now.
Yeah.
If it's trauma to the person, it's trauma to the person. But here's the
Yeah.
thing about that. It's like once you're over the age of 18, you can no longer blame people, places, things, situations
Exactly.
anymore. You have to take personal responsibility for shit. So if you
Hmm.
don't, change the things you can. It's the
Yeah.
serenity prayer.
Yeah.
Grant me the peace or the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can. You
Uh-huh.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Arrows pointing from all directions. Yeah. Yeah.
And the wisdom to know the difference is I'm not going to change anybody outside of myself.
Mhm.
The only thing I have any control over is me, what
Right.
I choose to do or not do. So, what are you going to do about it? Quit
Yeah.
being a fucking victim. I
Yeah.
have a cousin that I love, but has been a victim. And I can't, it's not that I can't talk to them or whatever. I spent years trying to do some things, and here's some tools, and here's this, and here's that. But you have to do it again. It's like you got to do the fucking work.
Hmm. Yeah.
There's or energy work. You have to do something because it
Yeah.
doesn't just go like that. And it's like
Hmm.
if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, then do something about it.
Right. Right.
Except bitch and play victim to everybody
Because
that's
that's
tired
not
of listening
that's
to
not
you.
doing anything about it. That is what is the word? I was going to say propagating. Is that the right word?
Yes, well, it would be
Yeah.
propagating.
You're
It's
still you're
continuing the
yeah.
cycle.
You know what?
Yes,
If you don't like tulips and you want roses, for the love of God, stop planting tulips.
exactly.
You know, if you want
Like,
roses, plant roses,
exactly.
you know? So, uh-oh, is that little guy?
Yep. Diaper
Yeah.
change time.
Okay.
This is my office slash spare room slash baby everything room.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
I
yeah.
totally
So grandpa's
understand
in here
that.
changing his diaper.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't being a grandparent the best?
It's the best thing in the whole world. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Me either.
I really had no idea.
As people say, if I knew being a grandparent was so much fun, I would have done that first.
Yes, I totally get that saying now. Totally.
I do too.
He's talking to him.
Oh,
It's so cute. He's three
yeah.
months old, so he's doing the whole cooing thing and smiling and laughing and
Love it.
looking all over everything.
I
How
love
wonderful it
it.
is.
I love it.
Still connected, talking to angels and spirits.
Yeah. I absolutely love that part of it, where they are still in spirit and they're still talking to spirit. And when my own kids were younger and I was just, in surviving mode, I didn't really enjoy it that much, because
Right,
you're
right.
responsible now for this new life, and you bring the baby home, especially the first one, and you set down the car seat and you look at him and you go, now what? Like,
Yeah.
why did they let me bring this thing home? I don't know what to do.
I don't know what I'm
You know,
doing.
you know. Um, but yeah, just the magic of all of that is beautiful. And you know what? We're out of time. We haven't even gotten to two-thirds of our discussion. And
Oh,
so we're
well.
going to have to do this again.
Okay. It was absolutely
Awesome.
wonderful and lovely. I loved it. Thank
This
you
was
so
this was
much.
so much fun. Would you like to share how people can get a hold of you to make an appointment?
Oh, sure. If you'd like to get a hold of me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm KDV, which stands for Kim Del Valle Walker. So KDV Walker at either one of those places. And send me a message if you're interested in a reading or you'd like more information about services that I offer. Otherwise, hit me up as a friend request on Facebook and I'll add you. And yeah, go from there.
Awesome.
But that's about it. I don't have a website. I don't
Okay.
have any of that stuff because I don't.
Because you
Because I
don't
don't
want
want to
to.
put in the time, energy, and effort. And most of my people come to me from word of mouth anyway, from other
Exactly.
people. So, and I'm already
Exactly.
busy enough in my life. So,
Why
yeah.
add
So
more
even
to
if
it?
you,
Yeah,
yeah. And even if you want to stay tuned to like different classes and things that I'm doing or online, hit me up on Facebook, give me a follow, whatever, send me a message.
yeah,
And
she's got
that's
lots of
it.
cool stuff. You do some really fun
Thank you.
videos, and yeah, definitely worth the follow. And thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being such a wonderful guest and a friend,
Uh,
you know. Yeah,
Yes. Love
yeah.
you.
Love you
Thank you
too.
again.
Thank you, everyone, and I will see you next time on Paramystic Podcast.
Bye.